Hello, everyone. Welcome to Streams of Collective Consciousness. We're live for the first time ever, and I'm so excited. I just got the notification that I am officially public and live, so awesome. Perfect. This is happening. I've been preparing for so long. This live stream is going to be a bit cuffed just because it's officially like the first time I'm ever really doing this ever. But basically the purpose is to talk about sustainable fashion news, to talk about environmentalism, to talk about social justice. The vibe will basically be to do this every Friday from like 6 to like 8, just to catch up on news. It's nothing super serious, nothing super like complicated. It's just like me collecting articles and like talking about it. Especially when like I don't really have time to look at news throughout the week, so I just like put the links together and then really read them and look at them right now. So yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully everything turns out really well. I'm a little bit sick, so don't mind me if I like have to grab water like right now. My voice is like closing up on me. I'm drinking an energy drink. It's like blue, but that's not important right now. Anyways, but yeah, basically the structure will be I'll be following this general schedule. So I'll be why is it not changing? It's not changing the slide is not changing. I wonder why the thing is not changing. Let's see if this will work now. But basically, I'll be showing y'all some news. The screen is not screening. Why is it not changing? Let's see if I can refresh here. Hello. Okay, I need this screen to change. Okay, so basically I'm gonna try to change my screen so that you can see what I'm up to. I made a Canva. Okay, let's see. Why is this not? I wonder why the screen is not sharing. And so basically I want to share my screen. Oh my gosh, here is this scuffed moment of like me practicing for like 2 hours, and then when the moment comes, the screen won't even share. Why is this happening? OBS is so confusing, honestly. Like, I've been doing this for like, yeah, I don't know what's happening. Let me drag it over and show you what I'm dealing with, just because like I've been working with this thing for like over an hour and it's been working, and now that I'm like live, it's not working, and I'm just like, bruh, what? Screen is active. Let's see. That should work. Perfect. I think that's working now. Did I not press the live button? Is it working now? Come on. Why is the screen not moving? It's like right there, and it's like not changing the screen whatsoever. Let me drag it over. See what's happening. Properties. Window capture. No. Display capture. Okay, I think it just needed a refresh. It should be back to how it was. Okay, there we go. It has worked. Okay, someone was watching me have tech problems. Well, it's better to have these tech problems like right now than anything else. Well, like I said, this is just scuffed. I don't really know how to work with the system, but it's working now. That's what matters. Okay. Well, basically, like I was saying, the schedule would be from 6 to like 8ish. And I'm gonna just start off talking about like sustainable fashion news, how like some breaks here and there, and then talk about like videos, memes, community submissions. If you ever want to like submit community submissions, like have basically me talk about things you want me to talk about, you can fill out this form. The link is in the description. But yeah, I'm just gonna generally touch on a lot of different things that I've seen throughout the week that I haven't really had time to read articles or read it. There's just a lot of articles, a lot of videos, a lot of things that just I kind of like save on my phone and then I never look at. So I'm excited to get into things today and just kind of like process things a bit more. All this stuff, let me see, is generally just me like reading and learning things together with you. So definitely not an expert, but one of the things that I have been seeing is that there's just a lot more sustainable fashion news happening when there's like Golden Globes or like awards and stuff, and I found that super interesting. Maybe I haven't been paying attention before just because I don't stop to read the news like I was saying, but it was interesting seeing how like in 2025's Golden Globes there was just a lot more conversations about sustainability. And it's interesting how they were saying like Ariana Grande and Anna Taylor were among those that were like opting for vintage things. Um, I feel like there was more stigma around like thrifted or like vintage items in the past, but now it's more like a trend. So I don't know if everyone's just like following each other to like copy each other, if that makes sense. But they were wearing like a lot of like archival, I don't know how to say that word, archival dresses. Like Ariana Grande, for example, was wearing like a 1966 Da Vinci gown. Um, it's curious how they like sourced it from a vintage shop in Beverly Hills. So they must have like stylists that are influencing their choices. I don't really think celebrities are the ones that are making the choice to wear these things necessarily. So I think it's more so like the stylists making these like sustainable fashion slash vintage choices for them. I have no clue how this like celebrity styling works, but I think all the stylists are talking to each other and like figuring out like how to like fit into the moment. And right now it's like all about old Hollywood glamour. So maybe that trend is going to continue to happen as we see more shows go on. But yeah, there just seems to be a lot of like old Hollywood glamour happening. Is it because we're tired of what's happening now? Why did I get an ad? I need an ad blocker. Oh gosh. Okay, well, I'm trying to like understand how sustainable fashion is becoming more mainstream because I just keep seeing it everywhere. Not saying that it's bad. It's just like I wonder what's actually really happening behind the scenes to make these celebrities dress up these ways. Like Ellie Fanning, they were saying that she did like a sustainable fashion choice by like wearing a 1960s Pierre Balmain gown. How do you even say these names? Pierre, Per. Um, what is this? A complete unknown star sported. Why would they say that in the article? A complete unknown star actually cares about sustainable fashion by wearing a 1953 gown. Oh, that's funny. What are these articles? I haven't read articles in a long time. This journalism is just not what I remember it to be. Are they writing it with like ChatGPT? Let me see if the audio works. I'm just like talking and I have no idea if people are actually watching me. Okay, the audio is working. People are like watching me. That's great. You're just stalking me. That's cool. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Just sustainable fashion has been more and more present on the red carpets. I just really don't get it. It's good. It's great to see. It's just like, I don't really know if it's making a difference at the end of the day for a lot of people and changing their like habits or like really making a difference overall in a big landscape. I was seeing some like commentator be like, yeah, like this is not serving anyone to do better. Like this is not good for anyone. But I think like small changes is what really matters at the end of the day. Like no matter what, every step we take is really important. And we can't undermine celebrities being like the project of the stylists and having that be like sustainable pieces. So like even if the celebrities themselves don't really care, like I think them supporting it by wearing it on their body and wearing vintage, wearing sustainable materials counts for something, because they're the ones that are influencing the mainstream. They're like our role models outside of influencers, sadly. So I mean, it's better that this like independent article is covering sustainability than like some other random drama. That's just my opinion, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day in a lot of ways. But systemic change is like a long-term battle over here, you know, so we can't dog on the small wins. And then one of the other articles that I saw was that the Fashion Workers Act was signed into law in New York. I haven't really been following the Fashion Workers Act really, so I'm not informed what this legislation means. But basically this article that was released like a couple weeks ago, January 3rd, was saying how the legislation would basically require like model firms to register with the state and offer protections against AI and exploitation. Like there's a lot of like touch-ups and like issues with changing how a model looks in the photos they end up using. So that's all I really know, but it was signed into law, which is good, last month. I think they mean like it was passed in December from what I see. If this article was released early January, I think the act was passed in December. And I was saying like extra labor protections for models, which is good. It's good that there's more protections. It will take into effect June 2025. Why does it take so long to take into effect? Let me see. See, the thing about these briefs is like they summarize everything and I have no idea what they're talking about. Like, I don't like when articles summarize the point because I'm just like, what are you guys even talking about at this point? Like, give me a better idea. Let me check the audio again just because I don't know if y'all can actually listen. Okay, my audio is working. Okay. There is this like speech feature that I want to try where it's going to read the article for us, so I'm not completely yapping.
The measure, New York Senate Bill 9832, was first introduced in 2022 by New York State Senator Brad Holliman-Sigel and Assemblymember Karines Reyes, along with Model Alliance. It passed the state Senate in May 2024, and the state assembly the following month. Hochul signed the bill on December 21st. I fully support the goals of this legislation to provide protections for fashion workers, who have too often been subject to unfair working conditions or been exploited in the workplace, Hochul wrote in the bill's approval memo. However, changes are necessary to clarify the duties of model management companies and brands to ensure they engage in contract transparency, as well as provide a safe and non-exploitive working environment for models. The act will ultimately boost labor protections in an industry that was previously not subject to them, with dire consequences and an environment that can be ripe for exploitation, said Carla Variale Barker, shareholder of law firm Siegel McCambridge.
Interesting. Well, that's good to hear. I feel like models have really suffered a lot because of fast fashion. They're just kind of used for their bodies and like used for how they look, and they're constantly being told to lose weight, constantly being harassed by photographers, by fashion managers, being constantly on the run to get their next contract, and even those contracts are not like ethically paid, or there is no like standardized wage in the model industry. So this is just like one good step forward in like addressing those unfair working conditions. And these are often like young, vulnerable women that are chasing a dream, and they're often freelancing. They often don't have like a group to work with. Like they're just all competing against each other, and it can be like a dog eats dog sort of environment. But I feel like laws that standardize things in general just make it a better place for everyone, no matter like where you're from, what agency you're working with, no matter who you're signed with, no matter what contracts you have. Hopefully there's like this collective effort to like no longer think it's acceptable that they can be exploited and just like completely like be ripped apart. Like it's not ethical to see them fall apart in pieces so that we can have pretty images of their bodies. Like that's just, it doesn't serve anyone. But I mean, the fashion industry will eat you up if like we're not careful, and that's just based on the system of white men and being in control of every single thing in fashion. It's been the reality for so long.
Along with being required to register with the state, model management companies will have a fiduciary duty of utmost good faith and honesty and integrity for the people they represent, according to Variale Barker. The measure also includes safeguards against harassment and abuse, and it creates a formal channel for reporting violations within the New York State Department of Labor, without fear of retaliation from clients. The law additionally grants models protections against the use of artificial intelligence, which Ziff said were among the first legal safeguards put in place to address the use of this technology. Per the law, clear, written consent will be required for the creation or use of a model's digital replica, and that consent must be obtained separately from the representation agreement, Variale Barker said.
Well, I don't like how they have this good faith thing. Usually when there's like good faith in compliance, it means like they're trusting the judgment of compliance. It's not like they're actively going and seeing what's happening or like reinforcing it in a very strict way. It's more like, I trust you to do the right thing. Like in good faith, we will have you do this, and hopefully you're honest, hopefully you have integrity. But it's like we need people to be checking that these model managements are not exploiting anyone. Like we need people being like, yo, let me look at your workplace, almost like an inspector for like the food industry, or like a manager looking over their employers being like, let me actually see the quality of your work and quality of your ethics. I just reporting violations can be a tricky thing that management can find loopholes in, especially as like models who often lack a sense of empowerment may struggle with speaking up and being like, hey, let me like submit a report because I can lose my job. So that's just like one of the bad things about this. But I mean, it's a start. It's creating a formality of sorts and things. It helps reduce fear. It helps create a process. I mean, that's like the great thing, right? It creates a process, and it gives protections in some way that were never there before. I think artificial intelligence is something that I'm always grappling with. Is it like good? Is it bad? Is it good or is it bad? But like for models, I think it's just making their job even more hard. And I really feel for them. I really do think technology is making them more aware of their imperfections, more aware of their shortcomings. As an average human, like we're not meant to be perfect. We're not meant to have flawless skin. We're not meant to just go around having no zits, no body fat, like no hairs whatsoever. The fashion industry and its imagery has never been natural. No model actually looks like their actual self in a cover of a magazine because it's already been touched up with Photoshop. And to add AI on top of that, that's just I don't know where magazines are going to head in the next few years, but I think it's going to become more and more dystopian for sure. Um yeah. But the other thing I want to point out is that I've never really seen this interconnection of like technology with like legality and like fashion. Like imagine fashion legal like experts for technology in the fashion industry, especially with digital fashion emerging with the help of AI. I think there's just going to be more lawyers specializing in these sort of things. I've definitely been thinking about like lawyer things just because that is something that really creates change. Like laws need to be passed to like make sure there's like good things happening in the fashion industry. So maybe the next generation, the people that care about sustainable fashion, will end up being lawyers that safeguard, models' rights, garment worker rights, other things like AI. There's just a lot of avenues to promote sustainable fashion and promote like human rights and like activism. That doesn't really cross our mind at first of what we can do. So yeah, I mean, this article is definitely giving me a better idea of like the value of the act. It's just there seems to be a lot of shortcomings in the actual law itself that just again will take a collective mindset to like move towards. Like we need more laws, we need more accountability, more stringent regulations that are not there. I feel like sustainable fashion is such a baby right now, and we're all trying to figure out how to tackle it. And to know that this law is going to be implemented in June 2025, it's months from now. It's just, laws take so long to be implemented. I just don't like it at all, either ways. Like, well, how is this so slow? I mean, there's a process, obviously, but like, why does it take so long? It's just crazy. I'm so irritated with the law system, especially with the current presidential stuff happening. I'm not going to get into that. Okay, let's continue the article. Let's see what else are they explaining. Tell me if you guys don't like the robotic speech thing. It's just like, I don't really want to read this article word by word, so, but let me know. I'll stop using it if no one likes it.
Dale Noel, CEO and founder of model management firm True Incorporated, said in an email to Fashion Dive that while the Fashion Workers Act has positive intentions, it falls short of providing support for models' livelihoods or ensuring the enforcement of protections. Noel, who has been both a model and model manager, said that the bill doesn't address payment timelines or impose penalties for non-compliance, which she said is a critical issue in the industry. The law fails to adequately define the roles of model managers, incorrectly assuming they have authority over models' jobs and business, which is not the case. Noel said, while it is essential to hold dishonorable businesses accountable and remove them from the modeling industry, the legislation inadvertently undermines reputable managers who already uphold transparent and ethical practices.
Okay, I was checking the audio just to make sure everything's okay. But yeah, that's a really interesting piece to consider. Also, I noticed that my audio is a bit low in terms of like me speaking, so let me raise that up a bit and see if I sound a bit louder, just because I do have the tendency of speaking very low. Very low. That's just something I need to work on. But also I can raise up the volume, it's just I don't see how to do that right now. Yeah, I can't raise the volume of the mic. Is it because I'm on this screen? Wait. Oh my gosh, it's scuffed. It's scuffed. Let me see. No, I can't move it. Dang. I can't raise the volume. I'll figure out how to do the volume thing. Okay. Well, I'll just speak louder and hopefully that works. Again, this is my first live stream ever. I think I'm doing pretty decent considering it's my first time ever. I was sweating when I first started. The first couple minutes, I saw my body leave my soul. Or the other way around, I don't know. But yeah. Going back to this article, I like how there has been an awareness like that we need to know that there's shortcomings to these laws and that we need to know like this is not a perfect solution for what's happening with like models and their exploitation, but it's like one step forward. I would really love to hear a model's first-hand experience of what they go through. I've never listened to what a model has to go through to get contracts or how to make it work with management or how they're exploited in detail. Like, I've never seen a YouTube video. I've never listened to a podcast. I'm not informed whatsoever. I don't really know how they would go about getting fair wage or like their rights not violated. It's a whole underground thing. And aren't they like foreigners? I don't know. I would love to know though. So this is like really opening my eyes. Like, what do fashion models go through? How are they exploited? Is it here just in the United States? It seems like it because the law is being passed in the United States. Let me see if I know any models like in New York or something or in LA. I think they're either based in those two cities, and hopefully like talk to them either on the live stream one day or have like a podcast episode. Yeah, I don't think at this moment I've ever really thought of them struggling in their field, which is sad. I thought they earned a lot of money too. Don't they earn a lot of money? Don't models make good money? I'm so confused. Okay, but to end this article, I'm just gonna say, like, I do need to learn more about this. I think I should definitely revisit this law and read it out and see, like, what they're exactly covering. They do have the bill highlighted here. And it's like cool that it was actually passed. Like, I rarely see sustainable fashion news being passed. And this just like came out of nowhere. I had kind of heard of it beforehand, but I was not like super aware of it. There hasn't been any marketing now that I think about it. Like, I don't really see this on Instagram. I don't see a lot of people sharing this. I don't see no TikToks about it, even though TikTok's gonna be banned. This is just, it's subliminal. I don't know. It's just giving like came out of nowhere. But yeah, I definitely do have to read this. Maybe next week we'll read this. Was it first introduced in this June? It's gonna take a whole year to actually be implemented. Gosh, that's so long. It's just what is all these things? This makes me so nervous. But yeah, I definitely need to get more informed on what's happening with like the models in the fashion industry and talk to some of them to get a first-hand experience versus assuming that they're going through stuff that I'm gonna assume. Like I'm gonna assume a lot if I don't talk to them. Okay, so the next thing that I've seen is that there's gonna be like a debate show around fashion, which is super interesting. And it's gonna be by Source Fashion. It's gonna happen in February. They were saying seminars and speakers. I don't really think it's gonna cover sustainable fashion specifically, but Savia Mini, she's like a huge sustainable fashion leader, and she's done a lot of like books and work is going to be in the show, which I'm super interested to see. But basically this article is like saying they're going to cover a lot of pressing and provocative topics from February 18th to February 20th at the Olympia, London. And people are going to like talk together. They're going to bring experts together, fashion brands together, retailers together, sustainability and sourcing professionals. Sounds all cool and fun. It's just like, I wish this was being live streamed so I could watch it in real time, but they didn't really specify where it's happening or like where it's streaming. But the good thing is that they want to have honest discussions. I don't really know what honest means because a lot of brands are out there to cover their butt and be like, yo, I'm doing great, and let's greenwash the heck out of this industry. And then they cover it up with their political jargon at these like forums. So I wonder what brands are actually coming on. But the hot take here is that I don't like forums for sustainable fashion experts. Like, it's always the same people, it's always the same perspective, and they always have like a business interest to like cover in their conversations. So if this is just like a bunch of like quote unquote experts coming together to share their takes, it's not going to be a debate. It's just like sharing what they've always shared. I don't know. Is there going to be any activists? I don't really think so. But I'm optimistic. Back to the Future. The topics will include Back to the Future. Oh. Okay. I'm suspicious. How do we slow down consumption and produce less is going to be a debate. How do we slow down consumption and produce less? Maybe we should not produce. How do we not produce is the real question. The topic will include the language of sustainability. Oh, okay, they're going to get all philosophical with it. Interesting. Overcoming the fear of okay, this is bullshit. The only people that's afraid of sustainability in the fashion industry is experts and these leaders themselves. They're the ones that are perpetuating the system, I think. Taking the lead. Collaboration in the absence of legislative change. Well, brands need to take the change. Like, be the change. They're not... Okay, I'm being pessimistic. Hopefully brands learn to take action in these debates. But isn't the whole point of debate that there's like one person advocating for a point and the other person doesn't agree, so they're advocating their point or have a different perspective? So doesn't that mean that some brands or some experts like support the opposite of sustainable fashion? So it's more like fast fashion versus sustainable fashion. That's like really what the debate's all about, from what I can tell from these points. And then speculative, how do you say that word? Speculative design thinking. Preparing for the future of fashion retail. What is the future of fashion retail? That's the question. I've been hearing that malls are like more and more popular. I'm not looking forward to that. Breaking the cycle. Driving systemic change in fashion supply chains. Okay. Who are our players? Who is playing? Charlotte, head of sustainability at Vivo Footwear. Jackie, sustainability director at Johnston's of Elgin. How much do they get paid to get on this debate show? They'll be competing with fast fashion brands, covering how to educate consumers and build a sustainable brand in the midst of a difficult market. I would be so mad if I was a fast fashion brand representative going to these debates. What are we defending? Corporate interests and money. Why would you ever want to go on this show if you're a fast fashion giant? Bridging the gap. Effectively collaborating between teams and integrating objectives. Huh? They want to bridge the gaps. Okay. I don't know what that means. That seems very vague. What data holds the key? Why data holds the key for a greener future? What is this? Oh, it's these sessions? Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. So they want to advocate for circularity, bridge the gaps, and data. with the emergence of AI. Okay. I'm confused. So how are they going to talk all about this in these sessions? Who's the fast fashion giants? Oh, there's more of them down here. Where will this be streamed? It doesn't say. Source fashion to launch source debates. Let's look that up. Where is this gonna happen? Source debates. Uh-oh, I clicked the same article. I'm a horrible Googler. Show. I would like to watch it. I don't know where it's happening. I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see where it happens. That'd be interesting to watch. Okay. So another thing, another news is the tragic fire in the Kantamanto markets in Ghana. Let's watch this video. I don't have that.
Elsewhere, it isn't a happy start to the new year for thousands of traders in Ghana's capital, Accra, who are counting their losses after a devastating fire swept through Kantamanto Market early this morning. The cause of fire is still under investigation, with authorities working to assess the extent of this damage. No casualties have been reported. Kantamanto is one of the world's largest second-hand markets for clothes from the global north. Sprawling with thousands of stalls crammed up with clothes, one can find items from H&M, Tesco, New Look and more. Indeed, thousands of traders have been left in despair, with many appealing for support from the government to rebuild their businesses and to improve market safety measures. Now, this is what the spokesperson from the Ghana National Fire Service had to say.
What we are doing currently is to do overhauling, where we would ensure that all the packets of fires that we see around in the smoky form are cooled to ensure they are totally extinguished. As we speak now, over 100 structures, the stores and then the metal containers have been badly affected. And you know, this is also because it is not a properly planned market. All manner of waste, but predominantly they deal in second-hand clothing. Some of the containers had flammable solvents and paint as well, and that made firefighting very difficult.
And joining me now is the BBC's West Africa correspondent, Komla Adom. Komla, thanks, and good to see you in the new year, of course, to talk about a heavy subject here. Maybe you could begin by updating us. What's the latest on the investigations, or what are the authorities saying about what could have caused this fire, and also how much of the market was affected by it?
Well, Waiga, authorities have told the BBC in the last few minutes that they have begun an assessment to take inventory of the exact extent of damage. We speak about the number of stores that have been affected and also the number of traders who have lost their wares to this fire. In fact, earlier in the day, many of the traders had thronged the fire scene to attempt to salvage what they could of what was left of their wares, but that was unsuccessful, as many of those who had thronged the site looked on helplessly as the fire consumed the entire stretch, which is believed to be bigger than the size of 3 standard football pitches.
And of course, we've seen some pictures there of the traders trying to rescue or recover what they can. What have they been telling you?
Well, for many of these traders, that's the livelihood, their entire livelihood that has been destroyed in one fire incident. They say some of them have had to go to the bank to get loans to be able to run these businesses. And as you know, it is the largest textile market in the country, and so many of the traders or vendors come from all across the country to this particular location, the Kantamanto Market, to purchase second-hand or thrift clothing to sell, onward sale. And many of the celebrities have also been visiting this particular enclave to purchase used clothing and other clothing to reuse and repurpose them for fast fashion. They say that's all their livelihoods that have been lost on the first day of the year 2025, and they want the government to make an intervention by way of payment of compensation. A few hours ago, the Greater Accra Regional Minister Titus Glover and the Mayor of Accra both were at the fire scene to empathize with the traders and to also assure them that an assessment will be done, after which the incoming government will be recommended to pay some compensation.
I have 4 shops. All the shops are even burned. I don't know where I will even go. And the women are crying. They are suffering. They are suffering. They are pleading to the government. They are crying. So we are pleading to the government to come and help us.
We've lost a lot. Not I alone. Everyone in the yard. You could see it yourself. It's very bad.
This fire, thing has been something that has been disturbing us for so many years, and we've been hoping that governments will come help us. Structure it very well. In a metal form, but then we'll talk and talk. It will look like they are showing some kind of care to go and then later bounce back. We'll still come into our normal ways now.
Was there a fire prevention, fire safety plan, for example, for this market?
Why got there? Absolutely not. Many of the structures there, according to local authorities, are improperly planned and structures that were put up without any proper structure. And so even the fire authorities tell us they had to struggle to assess the place when they received the distress call for the emergency that had happened on the dawn of Thursday. When they got to the sites, they had a hefty time to get through to fight the fire. According to many of the local authorities as well, these are structures that do not have metallic or block works, and so with the least trigger of a fire, it will completely go down in ruins, and that's exactly what happened. But local authorities say if the market is to be rebuilt, they will recommend that the local authorities ensure fire protection, fire safety, and surveillance cameras specifically to observe the activities in the market to prevent any such occurrences in future.
Well, thanks, Komla, for giving us some of that perspective. We'll have to wait and see what emerges from the investigations.
That's such a shame. Such a shame. My gosh. Yeah, I just wish everyone's safe and will recover fast. I know a lot of people rely on these markets for money. I saw a recent article by Forbes featuring how there has been a call for fashion brands to donate to the relief fund for the market, which is a really great thing. I really respect how there's advocacy and being like, hey, fashion brands, help, because they really need the support, especially as the world's largest secondhand clothing market. And it's just devastating. It's impacted so many people, like the video was saying. Yeah. And it happened a while ago, since January 2nd. It's been 2 weeks now. And I'm just really sorry that people had to die from this, especially when there could be more safety and precautions to avoid this. But a fund has been set up by the OR Foundation, which I'm familiar with. They're a great organization. It's basically a nonprofit that's based in the US and Ghana. I can have this be read out to you guys with the AI voice. Let me see how to do this though. Forbes, talk to me.
A fund has been set up by the OR Foundation, a nonprofit based between the US and Ghana whose work centers on building a justice-led circular economy and has been working in Kantamanto Market since 2016. The OR Foundation has put forward $1 million to support the cleanup effort and the traders affected. At the time of publishing, an additional $88,000 has been contributed to the fund, but the OR is hoping to raise a total of $5 million, sparking calls for fashion brands whose discarded clothes are sold through the market to show support. Photographer Natalija Gormalova, who visited the site in the aftermath, described the scene in an Instagram post. She said, The sellers stood silently, gazing at the charred remnants of their shops, their livelihoods reduced to ash. Questions hung in the air. Who bears responsibility for this tragedy? Why have fires plagued the market so frequently in recent years? And most pressing of all, who will help them rebuild?
Who will help them rebuild? That is a very good question. Very good question, especially when we use countries like Ghana as our dumping ground. And by we, I mean the United States, and we, the consumers, who just buy and buy and buy and buy and buy and throw away or donate.
Around 15 million used garments are imported into Ghana every week, mostly from global north countries, and most are sold at Kantamanto Market. In September, Greenpeace Africa launched a petition to regulate the second-hand clothing market in Ghana, alongside a report which found that 500,000 items of unsold clothing from the market are dumped in open spaces and unofficial landfill sites in the country every week. While the market provides work for around 30,000 traders, a survey by the Foundation of 300 traders in November found that 98% do not have access to health care.
Why would they have health care? No, the United States doesn't care what happens to their unwanted clothing. Oh my god, imagine if we forced the US government to give them health care. We would just end up dumping our clothing in some other country. Oh my gosh. Our fast fashion is literally ruining the health of people. And we just continue to do it. And by we, I'm gonna blame the government on that one. The US government. What a beautiful little thing we got going on here, forcing them to accept our clothing. As sustainable fashion campaigners believe part of their responsibility lies with fashion brands and want to see accountability taken by some of the most commonly found brands of the market, including H&M, Gildan, Adidas, Nike, Marks & Spencer, Next. So the target in people's eyes is the brands, not governments in this case. So, says here, Katia Mormon, founder of sustainable and ethical fashion magazine No Kill, posted on Instagram. Kantamanto Market is a cornerstone of sustainability, recirculating 25 million secondhand garments every month and challenging the wasteful practices of the fashion industry. The cycle burdens communities like Kantamanto, where workers take responsibility for managing the fallout of overproduction. If these brands can generate millions in profit, they can and should contribute to rebuilding the livelihoods of the very people impacted by their practices. I think there needs to be a combination of like brands and government in this conversation. It's not just brands that are at fault. It's the government. But I don't think Ghana is the one that needs to be blamed. I think it's like us, the United States, forcing them to take our stuff, because I don't think they would want our stuff in the first place. They're just like forced into contracts based on power dynamics. Let's have the AI robot read this, because my voice is leaving. I've been sick, guys, so I'm sorry if I don't talk a lot in this.
Fashion Africa Now, a platform dedicated to centering Afrocentric and Afrodiasporic perspectives on the industry, said in a statement on Instagram, "This isn't just about fashion, it's about justice, sustainability, and rethinking the systems that exploit the Global South while the Global North thrives." The organization is calling for the creation of a global fashion solidarity fund to make brands pay for the impact of their business practices on Global South communities. Rafael Couto, a Swiss upcycling designer, said on Instagram, "Local communities can't and shouldn't deal with this alone. Companies must fully extend their producer responsibility."
I'm trying to fix the audio of the screen share just because it is a bit louder than compared to my voice, just because I can't make my voice louder because I'm sick. So I'm trying to like figure out how to reduce the screen share of AI voice. I'm sorry if it's been loud compared to my voice. I'm trying to figure out the audios here. Let's see.
One of the only retailers to speak out publicly since the fire is luxury second-hand marketplace Vestiaire Collective. It posted on social media on January 3 urging its community to donate to the fund. The retailer has since confirmed it will be making a donation for an undisclosed sum to the OR Foundation's appeal and will be posting on its social media to invite other brands to donate. Dunia Won, Chief Impact Officer, Vestiaire Collective told me, "We are deeply saddened by the devastating fire at Kantamanto Market, a hub that represents both the challenges and the opportunities for sustainable fashion. Now more than ever, this tragedy reminds us of the urgent need to rethink how the global fashion system works."
I mean, it is a tragic reminder. I feel like if we're pragmatic about what has happened here, I think developing countries, or what is considered developing countries like Ghana, will be seen as just a landfill for like quote unquote developed countries. And it's sad that they're not protected in any way, that they're just seen as a dumping ground. I think, again, it's a symptom of everything that's happening on a collective systemic level. And I think Donna is right. Like, we need to think about how the fashion system is at play and how it can make more positive, systems that don't create these sort of results. So fire is just part of the chaos of a wider issue. Let's see. Vestiaire Collective will be mobilizing our global community to join the fundraising efforts to provide support in rebuilding the market and offering relief during this incredibly difficult time. They've worked with them in the past. They volunteered in Kantamanto, which is cool. Vestiaire Collective for the win. I don't know if this is just like a profit-driven incentive to get their name out there or what, but hopefully they're doing it in goodwill to actually help the industry as a whole versus like pushing their business to be seen a certain way or to have consumers just buy from them versus like the competitors, which include eBay and Depop. I don't know what the incentive for Vestiaire Collective is in participating, but hopefully it's one that's genuine. Let's see. Well, the true impact of fire in Kantamanto Market is still unfolding, and the fallout from a backlog of exported secondhand clothing with nowhere to go yet to show. Questions already are surfacing around whether the world's richest fashion brands can outfoot the bill for such a disaster. Yeah, they can. They can, bro. They can. And if they can't, then they... bro, we all know they can. They make millions. Like, if they don't want to do stuff, it's because they don't want to do stuff. It's not because they don't got the money. If they can't, though, then it must redress its practices to stop perpetuating the problems that cost them. Okay. They can stop at any moment. They've made their millions. They just want to make more millions. Okay. So, update. The article was edited on January 2nd or 7th. The Vestiaire Collective will be making a donation to the OR Foundation's Relief Fund and posting on their social media channels to urge brands to donate. Cool. Where's the link at to donate? A fund has been set up. How much have they raised? Oh, wow. 1.2 million. Interesting. Let me see if I can put the link in the chat. Yeah, there you go. There's the donation link if you want to donate. 19 overall people have been viewing me. Wow. That's quite successful for my first stream. I didn't even promote it that much. I was like, what am I even doing? Okay. Let's see. Next, let's see what else we got. Let's see. Let me close all these tabs because my computer is gonna self-combust. Okay. Did we already watch this? Oh, there's another article. Was this one released after the ones I read? Oh, it was written on the same day. Look at these photos. That's crazy. Dang. Oh my god. This is like how they survived. Like, our fast fashion is their livelihood. And even if it's bad that they've been like intertwined in this mess of a system of fashion, oh, this is their livelihood. It really is. This is before the fire. Wow, it was like extensive. This was like legit a thing. This is after. Seems like the middle part was largely affected. Like all this little section. There's like a trail. Like right in the middle. That's crazy. Dang. Well, hopefully they're rebuilding. I haven't really heard anything recently. We can look it up, see if anything recent has been happening. Any updates? Let's see. Any updates? Any updates for us? Let's say 2 days ago.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins. Listen, I'm on my way to the studio and
I'm sorry.
the sun is setting on an opportunity and I don't want you to miss out. I don't know if you've heard, but once a year I do
On January 2, 2025, a fire at Kantamanto Market destroyed properties and livelihoods. It is one of many fires ravaging major markets nationwide. The Ghana National Fire Service put the total fire disaster recorded between January and September 2024 at 4,650. But beyond the numbers and the devastations lie deep emotional tales.
At the sight of the fire destroying my items, I had to be sprinkled with water before I could get back on my feet. I am a single parent who goes to work every day before my children can eat. It hasn't been easy for me. I get scared whenever I remember the situation. What has happened to us is difficult. I am suffering. I just walk about whenever I get here. Every dawn, I get worried because I have nowhere to go. Truly, we had a lot of bills in our shops. People collapsed, with some still in the hospital. Recently, another person also collapsed. A guy who helps us also died from the fire.
And then 3 days. Your boy back was swaying my container boy. Wada or tip or piano in a Janisiano.
Experiencing a fire, especially with livelihood loss, can deeply impact mental health. Recovery is long and challenging for those who lose everything. Dr. Abigail Na Ayele Harden, a psychiatrist at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, sheds light on the psychological toll of Ghana's market fires.
The most common thing that happens in the early stages after you've experienced such a traumatic event are things like anxiety, feeling worried, having lack of sleep, feeling troubled and feeling overwhelmed, there's also a sense of hopelessness because you've lost everything.
Mental health professionals warn that the psychological effect of traumatic events often linger long after the crisis ends, underscoring the importance of seeking support.
Initially, in the early stages, rely on your loved ones, seek support from your family, from your friends. Thereafter, we'd also encourage you to seek help from a mental health professional. They're always available as psychiatrists and psychologists to offer help. Even if you do develop a disorder down the line, there are medications that are available to help you to be able to manage these and treat these conditions. What I would advise is that they take one day at a time. It's a major loss they've experienced.
The unspoken bit of fire is the human story, one of courage, hope, and resilience. Jennifer August's report, read to you.
We took our brand new software company.
No ad blockers. I need some ad blockers. Okay. Anyways, so that's a shame. It's definitely going to take some time to rebuild that. So I'll definitely be checking in on the Kantamanto Market every week to see what's happening and promote the donation link so you can support if you want. But another key learning thing that I want to talk about is my my computer's at 11%. I didn't have my computer fully charged beforehand, and the charger is really not helping with all the cord setup situations. So I definitely need to figure out cord situations as we move forward, because my computer's at 11%, and I was gonna finish at like 8 and at 7 p.m. Central Time. So I will not get through all the news today, and I'll probably end the stream sooner, but what can we do? It is scuffed season. Was that a thing? Scuffed season. But yes, it will continue on as a brave warrior, my first strike in this online world. So basically I watch a lot of Cate Robinson, I think is her last name. She's a YouTuber. She does like sustainable fashion content, and she did a video breaking down what's been happening with Shein. There was a hearing about some things I'm not quite aware of, so we're going to watch a bit of this and then kind of move on to the other news that I wanted to talk about. So let's listen to what's been happening. Oh, okay, so she summarizes it. Answering questions on their supply chains and forced labor allegations, and it turned into the most chaotic parliamentary hearing I've ever seen. So we need to watch this together and break it down, because I generally think this may be a bit of a disaster for Shein's PR image. Interesting.
Most of them, they're based in regions.
It's actually a yes or no question, actually.
I am doing the best I can to answer the questions the committee
I'm interrupting, but I disagree that you are doing the best you can. You're not.
Today is a very exciting day. The UK Parliament has called in Shein and Temu and a bunch of other companies and plans to grill them on the ethics of their supply chains. And I'm very excited to see what comes from it. When I reported via my community tab that this was going to be happening and asked you guys how you wanted to hear my analysis of it, the overwhelming response was for a dedicated video. So here you go. I'm going to be listening to the committee hearing in full and pulling out the relevant information that I think you guys need to hear, and then I'm going to be breaking it down after we've watched that together. I'm going to try to keep the video brief, and I also want to briefly mention that I am not trained in business, economics, politics. I'm literally just someone who is interested in sustainable fashion and very interested in Shein's business practices. So although I've researched everything to the best of my ability, I may get one or two technical things wrong. So today's hearing is for an employment rights bill. Basically, among other things, the inquiry is going to be looking into Shein and Temu's labour rights in their national operations here in the UK and also their international supply chains. Our government is concerned with what they're doing, not only because they're trying to IPO here in the UK, which we'll get into later, but because they're also expanding their operations to be based here in the UK. They've invested in factories and suppliers in Leicester and Manchester. However, I do think there's going to be a lot more scrutiny on Shein's international supply chains, mostly because it's been known in the past as having heavy ties with the Uyghur forced labour cotton allegation happening in China, in which the company knows that they are somewhat complicit because they found products containing that banned cotton in some of their clothing. The UK Parliament has previously discussed and condemned the situation happening in those forced labour camps in China, calling it a systematic repression of Uyghur culture, society and religion in Xinjiang, including ongoing mass detention. So I'm very curious how this is going to play out, exactly what questions they're going to be putting to Shein in particular, because it is the most well-known of the two names, although Temu is.
Probably the most common question that I'm asked as a professor at Hillsdale is what happened to my country? When they poll Americans, they find
it's catching up pretty quick.
Looking at the Employment Rights Bill, we are incredibly grateful to you for joining us from Shein and from Temu this afternoon. Could you just tell us, do you source cotton from China?
So our suppliers, we do not have...
I knew they'd do this. I didn't think they'd do this soon, but passing the buck of responsibility onto your suppliers is literally fashion's oldest trick in the book.
Yeah.
I can't believe that they've actually pulled it out this soon though. At least try to answer the question. I really should have thought about doing a bingo card for this, because that would have been my first one. Like, suppliers are responsible. Tick. Something else I find really interesting is the fact that the CEOs of Shein and Temu are not the ones giving evidence here. Earlier on in the committee, they were talking to the CEOs or former CEOs of other companies like McDonald's and Tesco, and clearly Shein and Temu haven't decided to do that. I think they've sent legal counsel instead, which is really interesting. I think it's particularly interesting that Shein has decided to do it this way. I mean, not only are they trying to list on the stock exchange, so it would have probably looked better if their CEO had joined them, but the fact that he didn't think this hearing was important enough for him to fly in, but he did fly into London last autumn to meet with investors, kind of shows where his priorities are lying, I think. I don't think it's a great look for them.
You can't tell the committee today whether there is cotton from China in the products that you sell. Are you able to tell us whether there is any cotton from Xinjiang in the products that you sell?
Similarly, I believe that's a similar question to the previous one just asked, so we are going to have to...
They're refusing.
I believe you already asked me this question, so I don't have to answer your question if you already asked me the question, you know? It's like, guys, don't ask me something if you already asked me something. Next. What even is this? What? Her face. Look at her face. Bruh. Oh my god.
To answer questions, to be fair. Do we have any information? Do you know anything? Like, what did you think today's hearing was about? But fair enough to our MPs for like digging their heels in a little bit here and like trying to dig anything out of this woman, because she's just not giving anything up.
Is it your company's view that there is forced labour in Xinjiang in China?
Again, back to the agenda of the committee, as I understand it, we're looking at upholding standards.
The agenda for the committee is, as I set out, what the agenda is, and the question is...
I commend him for just trying to get any information out of this lockbox of a woman. I mean, he's right, it's a yes or no question.
A lockbox? Is that like a saying in Britain? Wait, what? She's very secretive. Or they're very secretive. I think it's just like political conversations. It's like just covering the truth behind random sayings. I don't think we're ever gonna get the truth out of like Temu and Shein, to be honest, with these sort of people covering their butts.
Question, like, it's not even really talking about Shein's business practices. It's talking about, do they think there's forced labor going on in Xinjiang? Like, it's not, are you sourcing from Xinjiang? It's, is there forced labor? And I feel like that's been proved beyond doubt. Like, it's really baffling. What did they think this hearing was going to be about? Did they not prepare some kind of statement to give?
It is said that you...
I do think they prepared some statements, and the statement is to not make a statement. Like, they're just going to talk in circles. It's going to be political, like, bullshit, basically. It's BS. But like formalizing it as like professional and like oh, like, you already asked us this question, so ask us another question. It's like they're not going to get to the point. Like, they know this. That's their job. They're never going to answer the questions.
You may be seeking to list on the London Stock Exchange. Is that true?
Again, I'm not able to comment on any IPO speculation.
That's publicly available data. How is she not able to comment?
Why did you cease work on seeking a listing on the New York Stock Exchange?
I'm not able to comment.
Because they were asking questions you didn't want to answer. Like, we all know it.
Thank you. And I understand you're a solicitor. Given that individuals can be prosecuted under the Proceeds of Crime Act, are you comfortable that no criminal liability attaches to you yourself now that you've seen the dossier?
Did she really just ask her, are you willing to go to jail if what your company has given is false information? And this woman is refusing to answer the question. I did not think they were going to be going this hard on them, to be honest. I thought this would be a little bit more friendly, given that our stock exchange is like desperate for IPOs. Like, I did not think it was going to be digging their heels in this much.
I'm trying to understand how you can lay out the regions that you're using in China, but you're unable to lay out if any cotton is being manufactured in China for your Shein products. It's not adding up.
This is absolutely bizarre, and I think the Shein representative looks so stressed because she's clearly just been told, don't give any specifics. Like, she's literally just listed the regions of China where they source or like have suppliers, but purposely left out the one region of China they don't want to be associated with. And the woman, rightfully so, has just said, well, if you know you have supplies in China, why can't you tell us if you have cotton coming from It's so like, there's no information being given here, and she looks so stressed. I don't think she gets paid enough for this. I mean, working for Shein, it's likely she doesn't get paid.
She doesn't get paid enough for this. Maybe she doesn't, but at a certain point in her career, I think she realized what her role is, and she accepted the price she was willing to take for this job. So I don't think she deserves to be paid more, because it's still inherently ethical. No matter how much money you get, like, this is not ethical. But she was willing to accept the amount that she did to do this, to sit in this room. I don't know if I could take a job like this. Probably not. Who would, though? Who would make that decision to take this job?
Paid anything for this. I feel slightly bad for this woman having to represent the company in this way.
But she did make the choice to do this. Like, she did decide to make this her job, or to accept the job, to accept the wage. So I don't really feel bad for this lady. I just feel bad. I feel bad for the poor Chinese exploited workers. I have no sympathy for the people that justify exploitation.
Frankly, I don't think you're respecting the committee at all.
Hard agree. Like, why have they come if this is their answer? Like, I don't know, we'll have to get back to you. Like, why have you bothered? It could have been an email, is basically what I'm summarising this hearing as.
And I find it very unhelpful and disrespectful that you're here doing this, but you don't mention Xinjiang at all, and it's willful ignorance. I'm asking you whether you think you are being disrespectful by being so blanketly void of answers.
Thank you for your question, and with due respect, I am doing the best.
I would say, just to comment, it's not this lady's fault what's happening. It's Shein's fault. She's taking the fall for it as a representative, but she herself maybe inherently is not being the one that's disrespectful. She's just doing her job. So I think Shein, the corporate people behind the rules of what they trained her to say, is at fault. It's just they're not showing their face in this meeting. It's really sad that this lady is taking the blame for Shein, but like, she accepted the job still. At the end of the day, she accepted the job, so she's taking the blame in some way.
Yes, I can, to answer the questions the committee
I'm interrupting, but I disagree that you are doing the best you can.
She can't say she's doing the best she can. They had time to prepare for this. They had an agenda. This is frustrating to watch.
And then one for Timu specifically then, in that 2024 Modern Slavery Statement, it states that you conduct comprehensive risk assessment to your supply chains. What do those risk assessments involve?
Thank you very much to the committee for giving us the opportunity to speak here.
I think this is the first time Temu has actually been asked a question, which is really interesting. I think we're like 20 or 30 minutes into the hearing and those two men have just sat there in silence because we're really digging into Shein. But I definitely think this is the right way to go about it. Just stay quiet and, you know, let the other person take the flak.
I don't know what Katie is saying, but basically Temu is also... They've also done so much bad things for the fashion industry. I don't think Shein should be questioned so much. I think there's just a hyper focus on them, but Temu has contributed massively to this gamification of fast fashion. And I think we need to watch for Temu more so than ever before because they're subliminal. They've come out of nowhere. When we think about like buying things very cheaply and having it be shipped within a couple of days, we think about Temu. Not only do they sell fashion, they sell like other products. It's not just fashion though. And I think Shein's like blamed as this like poster child of fast fashion, as like the poster child of like the fast fashion villain. But I think Temu, because they're like a newer player, they're not picked on as much, but I think they need to be both questioned equally. But it's not a justification for Shein to be blamed more for what's happening based on how they're being questioned in this hearing. I don't know what Katie was on about.
Hours a week, do you think is an appropriate number for a shop floor worker at a supplier for Shein?
I don't think it's for me to judge what's appropriate. What we're saying is
you are the general counsel for Europe, the Middle East, and the whole of Africa. So I probably would say it probably is appropriate in your elevated senior position within the organisation.
What is appropriate for her to comment on at this point? Like, what is she prepared to say? I don't think she's given a straight answer to anything once.
Well, that's been...
I don't think these people will ever give a straight answer. I don't think it'll ever happen. Their job is to not give a straight answer. It is to stray away from the truth, to continue perpetuating cycles of exploitation, to continue fast fashion as we know it. I don't know why they went to these hearings. Maybe they were forced to out of protocol, but I would never expect fast fashion brands to willingly disclose information, especially when there's rumors of exploitation. If they knew there was exploitation in their supply chain, do we really think they would say anything? Would they be honest? If you did something bad, are you going to be honest willingly? I don't think so. I don't think so, and that's her job, to not say anything at all.
An extremely helpful evidence session, but Ms. Xu, I have to say, for a company that sells £1 billion to UK consumers, and for a company which is seeking to float on the London Stock Exchange, the committee has been pretty horrified by the lack of evidence that you have provided today. You've given us almost zero confidence in the integrity of your supply chains. You can't even tell us what your products are made from. You can't tell us much about the conditions which workers have to work in. And the reluctance to answer basic questions has frankly bordered on contempt of the committee.
What a great summary. That is what the headlines are going to be taking for tomorrow. That's, contempt of court, horrified at lack of responses. It was just all about Shein and really covered a lot of different topics for them, like their suppliers, obviously their cotton links. We went into supply chain outsourcing and how well they know their supply chain links.
They're not going to talk. That's the point, right? They're not going to talk. Maybe Temu was not questioned as much. Shein was attacked. But again, Temu is quite subliminal. They've come out of their corner and they're hitting the market fast and hot. And Shein's taking the blame for a lot of the reputation of fast fashion. So they most likely are using exploited labor from China and maybe Temu as well. But are we going to have them talk honestly about what they're doing in their supply chain? No. We gotta get some people to infiltrate their supply chain. We gotta get the little spy cams. Where's the spy cams? God damn. Okay. I'm gonna move on. Let's see. Okay, I want to talk about the Birkin bags. Birkin bags. So I saw this article about how Walmart is making fake copies of the Birkin bag. I'm super excited to get into this article. Okay. They're being called the working the working bag, guys. This is a $78 imitation of the iconic Hermes Birkin, which typically commands prices ranging from $9,000 or more, even ranging to $500,000. And the trend of the working bag brings questions of whether these dubs democratize fashion by making luxury aesthetics accessible, or are they undermining the craftsmanship that defined high-end brands? Bruh. Okay, so the working bag has gone viral on TikTok. They range from $78 to $100. And the question is, does it challenge classism, especially as it may shift fashion to be more inclusive? I mean, it helps working class people partake in luxury fashion without like the extensive prices they originally were. The article says that it may challenge traditional class distinctions with high-end fashion, which can be more accessible for everyone else without putting a major financial strain in their wallet. I honestly don't see why we shouldn't replica, luxury fashion. We do it all the time. Like, fast fashion is a replica of luxury fashion. It's just a Birkin bag is not normally seen in Walmart. So I think that's what's causing the tension. But we see this all the time with like luxury fashion clothing. You take what's popular and like make it cheaply, so it doesn't quite look the same, but it's just the same sort of vibe. There's a divide between real and fake luxury. I feel like luxury is a concept. Even like luxury goods are made by exploited labor. It's been proven. So like the idea of luxury is just all fake. It's just a signal for like people to be like, hey, I'm so rich. Look at my $1 million purse. I think the people that have a problem with the work-ins are the rich. They no longer have this like status symbol buying the Birkin anymore, honestly. I think the biggest thing though is like the Birkin maybe made by people, like handmade, and the work-in is not. I mean, I would support the work-in to be made by artisans, but I don't think that's really happening. Would you buy a work-in though? Would we buy a work-in? Would you buy a work-in bag? Why do we even need a work-in bag? We can just buy one from the thrift store. Oh my gosh. I don't see the point of like whether it's bad or not. It's just a bag. You don't even need the bag in the first place. I think we just shouldn't be making $500,000 bags. And people shouldn't get so stuck on the idea that we mean something based on labels. Okay, it's 7:20. My computer is at 4%. Let me see how to finish this live stream. Oh my gosh, I didn't even cover anything. Okay. Well, basically, to do this really fast, it's really interesting how Parsons is actually recruiting or hiring professors of indigenous knowledge for a lot of different things, for material culture, history, interior practices, regenerative practices, fashion design, and you can apply today to be a teacher at Parsons to include some indigenous knowledge into their education. And while you're at it, you can get yourself in debt by going and learning from them. But that's cool. I think it's a start to the traditional academic learning where we only learn it from like Westerns and males and from a colonial standpoint. So hopefully this creates a shift we need within academia and hopefully more students are aware of like indigenous fashion as they get their degree. But it seems like they're barely starting. I think maybe this will be actually implemented in 2 semesters or 3 semesters. I don't know, but I just saw that on LinkedIn, found that interesting. Let me see, what else can I cover? Okay, let me just do this one. This will be my last article just because my computer is dying. I don't have a PC. I have a laptop connected to a monitor. But what I did see is that human touch makes visible the invisible hands that sew our clothes. So poetic. While human society is being transformed by information technology, contemporary sewing technology is based on the same functionality as in the late 18th century, including the fundamental dependency of human dexterity and tactility. Okay, that was a bit. Juliet Seeger, founder of the fashion brand Human Touch in Berlin, wrote this at the top of her dissertation for a master's at the University of Edinburgh in 2020. Sergey was studying sustainability design at the time when she first developed what would eventually become Human Touch. All caps. Today and for the foreseeable future, every garment is and will involve sewing by human hands. Nice. With this concept at its core, Human Touch visualizes the human labor inherent to the production of clothing. Sergey and her business partner, Christiana Albrecht, I don't know how to say the last name, upcycle everyday quotidian, what are these words? Clothing items like workwear, slacks, and t-shirts with their fingers covered in ink. I wonder how long it took to take the ink out of their hands. In doing so, Human Touch makes visible the invisible human hand behind our clothes and the fashion industry at large. Interesting. I think the shirt's small on him. Having previously presented their line of upcycle pieces Remedy at last year's Berlin fashion show, Seeger and whatever this is are now gearing up for BFW 2025 with pop-ups on January 30th and February 2nd that will feature their new collection. I was able to chat with them about Human Touch, and this is how the conversation went. Can you walk me through Human Touch? Okay, I was at the University of Edinburgh for a master's, and it was Design for Change, which is basically a sustainability design program. The incentive was to do theoretical work, but then also a design output that would match the academic research. So that was the original prompt, to think about a visual counterpart to the theoretical research I had done. The starting point in terms of the theory was that I am a trained tailor. Before my degree, I did a 3-year vocational training to become an industrial tailor. Especially during the pandemic, there was a lot of themes of 3D printing, everything digital, everything automated. Do we even need humans? That kind of stuff. I read that there was an equivalent in the fashion production industry, automating the sewing processes. From a tailoring standpoint, I was curious, how does that technology actually work? I couldn't wrap my head around it. And when I did research into what the status of the automation was, I realized there was a lot of ideation and experimental things, but there wasn't really anything at the production stage that was actually feasible to use even in the next few decades. Okay, true. At the same time, there was special characteristics of the fashion industry, like the floppy material, the silhouettes that always change, the fabrics and the services that always change. Also, human labor is still so much cheaper than building and implementing one big machine that will replace a larger segment. To me, there is an aha moment. It's so specific to the fashion industry and opposition to others. I am sick, guys. I'm sorry. I wanted to look further into that and then find a way to visualize this eureka moment to other people. The original idea was just to do one trial, and then I was interested in trying different products, and I was quite surprised by the feedback. A lot of people were quite interested, so I didn't just stop after I finished my degree. Damn, they destroyed that machine with the ink. Why would you do this? For vibes, for the thesis. Okay. I wonder if there's a way to just make the visible. Wait, what? They wanted to make the human hands visible, so they put ink on it. Oh, there is a textile paint. Oh, that's textile paint? Not ink? It's textile paint, which means that we use it primarily in natural fibers or cellulose-based fibers. We then cure it afterwards, or basically heat the garment, then the paint gets fixed to the fiber. It's like a kind of textile print you put on any t-shirt. What? You want to put ink on your shirt every day? What did I miss? This article's kind of confusing. Okay. Well, the pieces are cool. Wow, that's a lot of finger touches. How long did it take to get that out of their hand? I believe that if you have a passion for something, you'll make it work. You'll be successful in some way or another. Very inspirational. They did it in a Berlin studio. Very nice, very nice. Is it this person that did it? Studio meme. Is that all the finger touches? Did they do this as aesthetics, or like was this actually how many finger touches it took to make that piece? Let me see. Oh, she wore gloves. Well, okay, that's basically the end of the live stream, guys. My computer is about to die. Hopefully you enjoyed the live stream. It was my first one. It was scuffed. I had some mistakes in the beginning, some faltering. I will continue to improve. I will continue to understand how to live stream. If you enjoyed it, please look forward to next Friday, 6 p.m. Central Time until like 8 p.m. Central Time. I just had to end early because my computer's about to die. So I'm going to end the live stream now, but hopefully you have a lovely Friday. Enjoy yourself. Take care. And I will continue to give y'all sustainable fashion news and talk about environmentalism and cover social justice stuff in the future. Until next time, peace and love. Bye.